दर्शिनी recording start कर. हाँ.
Good morning. Today, we the members of Group 5 are presenting Foundation Course project on the topic Impact of Climate Change on Health of People in India. I am Janvi Vichare and these are my group members who worked on this project. Now, handing over to my teammate Darshini.
Good morning, everyone present over here. I'm Darshini Tevar. I've been introduced to the very known topic impact of climate change on health of people. We know humanity faces many threats, but none is greater than climate change. In damaging our climate, we are becoming the architect of our own destruction. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the money to solve the crisis. Do you know how does climate change affect us? Let me tell you. It will increase the risk of illness through increasing temperature, more frequent heavy rains and runoff, and effects of storms. It will cause damage to our residents by floods, tsunami, earthquake, all other items will also be destroyed. So it will also affect our economy. So all the basic necessities will become more expensive, which can lead to a great trouble. So now I would like to handle this to Sneha.
Good morning. As we have discussed introduction to climate change, our full project is about impact of climate change on human health in India. The process of our project goes like this. Firstly, we have circulated a survey form among our society around and analyzed the data which is discussed further, talking about various information which taken from various government websites and some books describing it. Now I would like to hand over to Darshini.
Here are some objectives of the project. Provide credible science-based climate change education resources, educate students about climate change, to create a massive awareness amongst all our audience, to provide statistics related to the effect of climate change so that we can work on it, to give a glance of some government schemes working to cope up with it. Now, I will hand over this to Aditi.
Hello everyone, myself Aditi and I am going to talk about the causes of climate change. First, greenhouse gases. These are the main cause of climate change. These gases trap the sun's heat and stop it from leaking into the space, leading to global warming. They are mainly released by industries and vehicles. Second, pollution and deforestation. Pollution traps the heat around the earth, causing climate change. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the surrounding and regulate the climate. Thus, deforestation leads to the release of carbon dioxide stored in it, adding to the greenhouse effect. Third, agriculture. Farmers mainly use fertilizers while farming. These fertilizers emit gases like methane, nitrous oxide, etc. Fourth, solar activities. Many times, solar activities like increase or decrease in the amount of energy which the sun emits contributes to contributes to the climate change. Now, passing on to Darshini.
Impact of climate change. Our climate system is finely balanced and small changes can have significant consequences. Some of the impact from these changes to our climate system include risk to water supplies, conflict and climate migrants, flooding of coastal regions, localized flooding, fisheries failing, damage to marine ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, change in seasonality, heat stress, habitat region of pest expand, damage to infrastructure, forest mortality, and increased risk of fires, food insecurity. The effects of these destructions are also include increased respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, injuries and permanent deaths, change the prevalence and geographical distribution of food, waterborne illness, and other infectious diseases. It also causes the threat to mental health. Thank you. Now I would like to hand over this to Nehal.
So, hello everyone, myself Nehal Sutar. As climate change has a great impact on human health, it also has a wide range of risk on population health. It also leads to many problems and diseases such as following waterborne disease, post migration, food supply, air pollution and air allergen level, vector ecology and vector-borne diseases, effect of extreme temperature. Passing on to Shruti.
Good morning. My name is Shruti Takhania. Today I am going to introduce about waterborne disease. Climate change causes increase in precipitation, storm, and sea temperature. The main waterborne diseases are diarrhea, typhoid, scurvy, etc. There is a very high risk of increase in waterborne diseases worldwide due to climate change. Second slide. Climate change is the biggest health threat. It affects our health by illness, spread of infection, disease, etc. Health impact may include illness like diarrhea. Next slide. Next, forced migration. Climate change is causing extreme weather effects leading to disaster across the world. And last one is food supply. Climate change affects the food production, increased frequency and intensity of drought, flood, heat wave, and other extreme events directly threaten food productivity. Thank you. I would like to hand over to Nehal.
Air pollution. Air pollution means the release of pollutants such as gases and pollution particles into the air which are harmful to human health. Aeroallergen. Aeroallergen is a release of airborne substance such as pollen or spores which activates the allergic reaction. Next slide. Air pollution and increase in aeroallergen level. Many health problems are associated with the ground level ozone. The major contributor to air pollution is the consumption of fossil fuel. Black carbon produced by the efficient consumption sources is the second most important contributor to the global warming. The 90% of urban population of the world breathes the air which exceeds level of outdoor air pollution which is under the guidelines of WHO. Passing on to Sneha.
The another effect of climate change is change in vector ecology and vector-borne diseases. Firstly, vector means organism which transmit infectious agent or pathogens from one host to another, and vector ecology enlightens the study of such vector, and disease caused by it is called as vector-borne diseases. India is majoritarily affected by it. Example, malaria, dengue, etc. Now let us see how these vector-borne diseases are affected by climate change and influence on human being. Some vectors are very familiar with warmer temperature, humidity which favors their breed. Such rising changing temperature might become favorable for many carriers of vector-borne diseases. For example, malaria transmitted by Anopheles mosquito is strongly influenced by climate change. In fact, collection of stagnant water also affect its breed. Aedes mosquito, vector of dengue and chikungunya, is highly sensitive to climate change. Studies suggest that there is a great exposure of dengue due to climate change. Now, I would like to hand over to Nehal.
Effects of extreme temperature. Due to climate change, many new and emerging health issues are included that are heat waves, cold spells, etc. Climate change between the years 2013 to 2050 leads to approximately 250,000 deaths additional deaths per year. Heat stress can increase the risk of cardiovascular, respiratory, and renal diseases, which are unfavorable in condition. Passing on to Aditi.
So there was a small survey conducted by us through Google Forms on climate change, where we received 15 responses. The analysis of this survey is as follows. According to the survey taken, 93.3% of the people knew difference between the weather and climate. Second, all of them agreed that they are aware of the term climate change. Third, people voted that they very often experience climate change in their surroundings. Around 80% of the people strongly agree that climate change affects the health. Most of the people believe that pollution is the main cause for climate change. People partially agree that government policies and actions help in the controlling of climate change. Many people voted that implementation of 3 Rs is their method to control climate change. People strongly agree that it is required to spread awareness about climate change. 73.3% of the people are aware of the actions taken by the government on climate change. Many of them are not sure that the problem of climate change will be totally eradicated in future. So this was the analysis of our survey taken. Now let's see the impacts of climate change on India. Currently, many places in India are facing the problem of climate change. Like we can see increase in the drought in the north and northwestern part of India. The southern India and the west coast has seen a rise of temperature, experiencing the impact of climate change on health and other factors. It is required to have a proper urban planning along with the environment protection. Now passing on to Janvi.
As a populous tropical developing country, India faces bigger challenge in coping with the consequences of climate change than most other countries. Climate change is a global phenomenon but with local consequences. There are both external and domestic dimensions to India's climate change policy, which has been articulated through two key documents. One is the National Action Plan on Climate Change adopted on 30 June 2008. The other is India's intended nationally determined commitment submitted to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change on 2nd October 2015. The NAPCC incorporates India's vision of ecologically sustainable development and steps to be taken to implement it. It is based on the awareness that climate change action must proceed simultaneously on several intimately interrelated domains such as energy, industry, agriculture, water, forest, urban spaces, and the fragile mountain environment. The project covers following sub-points. Concluding, India is advancing on a broad front to ensure a clean future for its people, drawing upon its ingrained civilizational attributes and putting in place a wide range of policy interventions under the legal framework of the Energy Conservation Act. 32 states of the Indian Union have formulated and began implementing their own state action plans on climate change. It is hoped that India's leadership in dealing with its own challenges of climate change and energy security will act as a spur to other countries to raise their own contributions to meeting this global and existential challenge. Failure to do so condemns humanity to an uncertain and possibly catastrophic scenario.
After conclusion, this is the slide for our websites through which we have collected our information. Thank you so much for giving your time and listening to us. Now we have a short video on climate change and Panchamitra strategy. Let's watch. stop recording. Darshini, stop recording.
Hello everyone. Till now we have clearly observed the impact of climate change on human health in India. Further, we would like to show you a short video on Panchamitra's strategy of government for climate change. Now some of you may be aware of it. Let's take a glimpse of it. India is both a major greenhouse gas emitter and one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to project climate change. With a 1.2 billion outgrowing population and dependence on agriculture, India probably will be severely impacted by continuing climate change. Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed a five-fold strategy for India to play its part in helping the world get closer to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The PM enthusiastically formed the scheme as Panchamitra. The scheme include: first, India will get its non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030. Second, India will meet 50% of its energy requirement till 2030 with renewable energy. Third, India will reduce its projected carbon emission by 1 million tons by 2030. Fourth, India will reduce carbon intensity of its economy by 45% by 2030. Fifth, India will achieve net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2030. Thank you so much for listening to our video.